Okay, well we're nearly finished now, and all it remains to do is to cover up the sides. The back is now relatively dry and it's gone in relatively well, and in between it drying I've pressed it a couple of times to make sure it's adhered to the back properly, and you can see it's going in relatively well. And what I'm going to do now is to glue up each side. The two sides that flaps are still loose, of course, so all I'm going to do is put them on the edge of the table and do my normal. Just go down a bit, that'll do, and I'll glue this up. Don't need a lot of glue on this because the material will hold a lot of glue and be retentive to the glue for a long time. It'll hold it for quite a while, which I don't want. I want to set quite rapidly. Ensure that the ends are got a application on. Because it's very disappointing if this comes off. I know you can stick it back on again, but it's not the same as having it to do its bit the first time around. Okay, that's not too bad. Now what remains to do is to rub a little bit of glue off there that there is, and then just press those ends in. Start from the middle and push it forward. I don't suggest you use a bone folder because you will move. There is a little, what they call them on it, a little it's built into the leather, it's not leather, it's into the rexing. You can just see the colour, the leathery type look, and if you press with a bone folder it will remove that. Or you put something on that's really hard. You need to put something on the top of this when it's drying to hold it in position, but nothing too heavy or else you'll lose the complete... words just escape me. I'm always doing this. You lose the pattern in the material, which is a leathery look. You lose quite a bit of it in any case with the glue, but make sure everything's stuck down before you do the other side. Pull it back on that side and do the other side. Minimum amount of glue to do the job, just enough. I mean, you should use bits of paper and things like that. You can use whatever you like. If you've seen it somewhere before that you like better, I mean, this is what I do. I mean, I tend to do what I do, so I'm not changing what I do. I don't like bits of paper all over the place. But you should really use paper to ensure that there's no glue goes onto anything else. I sort of take a chance, but it's bad workmanship really. You tend to fall into little bad habits. Okay, rub that off. Hands are clean. Push it forward. And you'll find the less you've got on, the quicker it sticks. And it's quite hot today. It's up in the 80s in this room. So it doesn't matter if the edges go over slightly because you're going to cut them off anyway. They're going to be removed. How you do that I'll show you to finish the book off to make it look pleasant. Okay, well your book is now starting to look like a book. If you want, I suppose you could put Fablon on there if you really wanted to, after you cleaned it all up and everything, but it would be a little bit of a job now it's on the book. But I think that's good enough if you want to make a book. Most people will be quite happy with that. I'm going to show you the other way with the Pablo, how to do it with the Pablo on. So this is one method of doing it. There's several methods. I mean, there's as many methods as there are people. So this is a couple of methods that I'm going to show you. And ensure that this sticks rather well. Anyway, I'll stop there. And I'll put my bits of card on that. Gently. Gentle. And apply a gentle pressure to it. And when we come back, I'll show you how to clean up the ends and finish off. Okay, well, while we're waiting for that to dry then, I'm going to show you the second method, which is quite simple. I mean, we've put the Pablo on the back, we've done the centre. I made a couple of mistakes on this, but never mind. And all we're going to do is do the same, virtually the same thing. Which is, this is a nice temporary, I've checked it. Is to just go up the back here. I've got it loosely held. If you want the backs absolutely flat, you can apply a bit of paper in the back here, the length of it, to take up the little recesses in the card, but I haven't found it all that necessary. But if you want to be pedantic about things, you can do. And make sure you've got a liberal application on there, not too much. And then a bit down the spine of your paper, just a little bit. Just to make sure everything's going to stickety boot. I've got a glue lump there, I don't know where I got that blinking thing from. I do not like glue lumps. I'll get rid of that. And then I know which way the book is up because it's got that colour on the end, the orange, which means that I know which way the book is up, which is important when you've got written words inside of a book. Now I've got the lines which I can line up the centre of the book with at each end, which will be removed on the final case. And the same at the other end, make sure it's in the middle. And then press it into its location. And there we just hold it down for a few seconds while it adheres. And I can put my glue away now because I'm not going to do any more with that. I'm not going to do a second one or anything. You'll see this is very similar to the last one. And I'm going to wait till that dries. But I do like the backs to go in first. And that back, you don't think there's hardly any lumps or bumps in the back there, considering it's all been stitched up and everything else. It feels very, very much like as though it was a perfect bind. There's no problem at all. And you know it's not going to come out. You know there's not going to be any disappointments there, because you know that what you've done in the back there, that book won't come apart unless you put a tractor on each end and pull it apart. Okay, I shall stop there, and then what we'll do when it's dry is to glue in the end papers to the back, and that will be a completed book. And then we shall carry on and do exactly the same to the book that we're going to do to the other one. So they're pretty similar, but this one has got a more finished quality and it's got more of a professional look to it. But there was one thing I was thinking of. if you're not good at doing these backs, which I do on my printer and everything else, what you can do is to do a picture and put the text in and all that, because most people can do that one way up, and then make it smaller than A4 and then cut it out to size and then put it on like before you put the Fablon on, put the bits and pieces how you want them, like an origami setup or a collage, and then once you've got it how you want it with the siding and the back and everything else, you can cut little bits off if you want and stick them on, and it will look just as good, because once you've got the Fablon on you can hardly tell that there's any, because the paper's that thin. I mean 80 GSM paper is so thin, it's grams per square metre it is. It's so thin you can hardly tell it, and it looks as though it's been printed on there as opposed to being stuck on. And if you've got to look really, really close to say that that's been actually stuck on. So you could do a collage of things and then stick it on, put the Fablon on, and then you would have a good result. Anyway, there's lots of things you can do. Anyway, I shall stop there and we'll carry on in a minute. Well, final stages. We got that far with the Knights Templar, and all I've done, I've gone to the end pages and stuck a bit of greaseproof paper in between the two end papers that we put on, and that's the part that's going to be stuck to the cover, and we're going to glue that down. And I've done the same on the back to speed things up, and I'm just going to glue this up now quickly, fairly quickly. And this should be quite easy to do, this one, because everything's in sort of position, in its final position to start with, and you'll feel the paper start to buckle up slightly as you put it on, put the glue on, so you can be reasonably quick. And this glue's going up rather quickly because it is rather warm in here. Okay, I'll put that on the top, give that a good press, and it doesn't matter if it goes over the edges, which it will do, you can see it is. That will be cut off in the final stages. We'll see inside what we've got. Gentle press, it doesn't have to be too much. You can see I haven't got anything underneath it. I should do really, but I'm pressing that lightly that I don't even need anything underneath. The page is not even being pressed down, but it's enough to push the bubbles out of it, and this is the time to do it before everything settles into its position. That's pretty good, and you can see I haven't got a lot of glue on there, so there's nothing coming through, so it should dry quite quickly, that. And I'll do the same on the back. There's the end paper with the greaseproof paper in, and then we're going to glue up this piece and stick it to the back page. Same as the front, exactly the same. Don't put too much glue on. Gluing up's a science, really. It's an art, or whatever, a science or whatever, but in the winter it dries at different rates. So you've got to be pretty good. If you've got water on your brush as well, if you've had it in a pot of water, which I do, you find that it will thin out your glue, and your glue will be at a different gluing format. Oh, that's a hair, I don't want that. Okay, I'll do this as quick as I can. Put that on. And then check. Just lightly, doesn't need much. Just the weight of the Teflon folder or the bone folder or whatever you're using. I love this wedge shape edge on it, chisel shape edge, it's lovely, rather than a round one for doing things like this. I mean, I could use a roller on the back, but I enjoy doing this, so it's just not going to bother me. There's hardly any glue on that, so put my bone folder on the back, and it will go into different shapes, but it will pull itself right after, and that inside paper will pull the outside into the right shape for you. Just check again that that's gone in. Oh, that's beautiful. Okay, so that's nearly finished apart from the, put a little bit of weight on that. A little bit of weight on there. Not too much weight, we don't want a lot. We don't want to squeeze the glue out all over the place. And that's the last one we did, the Unsinkable Titanic. It's not dry fully, but it's getting there. And it's looking quite pleasant as a book. So you could read it as a book now if you wanted. You don't have to do anything more to it if you don't want to. But it is still wet, it's not finished yet. It'll take an hour or so to dry. Overnight, best to leave them overnight if you can manage, if you can wait that long. I could never wait that long, I was too excited. So what we'll do now is I'll put that on top of the other book, and that will give it a chance to compress itself. And I shall stop there, and we'll go on to doing the outside of the book.